And we continued on a journey that was ridiculously long.
What were they saying to you? They were saying, just come closer, and you kept following? Or what were they saying to you as you were
following? They were very
them?
insistent, hurry up, we've got to go. You know, we've waited for you so long. You know, we've got to take you there. They were very insistent and very clear about what they want to do, and there was about a dozen of them, and they were around
What did they
me.
look like? Were they close to you?
Men and women, very, very pale. Everything was gray. The clothing was totally plain and gray. Almost could have been like hospital scrubs, only pale gray. They were all adults, men and women, and they were very pale. And I mean, they weren't particularly scary at this point.
Right.
And as we went along, they became crueler and more insistent. And
when you say crueler, what
let's go, come on, you're slowing down, keep going, keep moving.
And they made fun of you, too.
Yeah, and they started ridiculing me and things like that. And I started to get really scared, but where was I to go? We were in this endless space, moving along, and I didn't know where we were going, and I'm beginning to realize that this is not going to work out good. This isn't the hospital. They aren't from a doctor. I mean, I'm beginning, this is all dawning on me that this is, something's going very wrong here, but there's nothing for me to do. So finally we're in real darkness now, and I said to him, I'm not going any further, which was a bluff because I had no sense of orientation which way to go. And they said, well, you're almost there, and they started pull at me, and I tried to defend myself. And although I just had the worst day of my life and had been dying, I felt very strong. I wasn't the least bit tired. But the fight was, the sensations of the fight were just like if it had happened in this world. You know, when I hit them, I felt it. When they harmed me, I felt it. But they had no sensation. No matter what I did to them, it had no effect on them.
And the whole time they were hitting you, and I know earlier they were heckling and saying, oh, he hears us. They were making fun of you because your gown didn't cover your entire body and making fun of that. And at this point, what were they saying to you? They were screaming obscenities at you? Or?
Yeah, and laughing a lot. There was a lot of laughter. And, you know, it's really hard for me to talk about this, but, you know, it's like he really hates this, as someone was gouging me in the eye or other things. And their purpose was entirely to humiliate me, not to destroy me, but to humiliate me, and biting and scratching and, you know, violating me in all kinds of ways. And
you wrote in the book that when they actually came in physical contact with you, even though you had seen what appeared to be clothing on them, you didn't feel any clothing at that point.
Right.
And that they were like humans, but they had, describe what they were.
Well, their nails seemed very harsh and sharp. And a lot of them were biting me, and I've not been bit a lot in my life, but they seemed to have exceptionally sharp, jagged teeth as they were biting and gnawing on me.
They're just ripping your flesh from your body, ripping it apart?
Well, if they'd really wanted to do that, they could have had done with me in a few minutes.
Right.
No, they wanted to torment me. And so what they were doing was really simple. They were trying to inflict pain. And it was clear to me that these people had no, what we would think of as compassion, no love, no human sensation of their own. So what they were doing was they were feeding off my pain, if that makes any sense, that gave them
pleasure.
It gave them some kind of pleasure to get as much pain out of me as possible. And so they were trying to prolong that as much as possible.
How would you describe that kind of pain? You went through excruciating pain in the hospital, obviously. Yeah. Was it 10 times worse than that, or?
It was much worse physically, but what hurt more about it was them doing it to me. You know, as a human being and as a man, and they did a lot of unspeakable things to me, which are just how could someone do this to you? That's what hurt more. Their utter lack of any interest in me other than to hurt me is what really hurt, more than the physical pain. And this just went on and on and on and on and on. I don't ever think about it, because if I even get close to it, I get really upset. So, and there are certain things in the world that I don't like because they remind me of it. And
you wrote that it actually traumatizes you when you think about
Yeah,
it to the
and like
extent.
I can't go to a bar and stuff because the noise in there and stuff, it's too, it's not the same, but it's just a little bit of comparison between the kind of frivolity of a bunch of drunks in a bar, you know, to what I experienced there. I don't like really loud music because of it. But anyhow, so I was lying in that place, all torn up, broken up, beat up, but more importantly, emotionally destroyed. And people were kicking me, and I couldn't respond anymore. I couldn't even moan or groan or anything. I was lying in a fetal position, just sort of trying to protect myself, all ripped up, and people were kicking me, and they were expressing their disappointment that I didn't have any more response to what they were doing. And I heard, strangely, my voice, although I distinctly did not say it, pray to God. And I thought to myself, being an atheist, like, what a dumb idea, I don't believe in God. And the second time, pray to God. And I thought, I haven't prayed, you know, in my adult life. I had stopped praying when I was like 15 or something. And I'm 38 now, so I had no remembrance of prayer. And I thought, I wouldn't even know how to pray if I wanted to pray. And then a third time, it said pray to God, and I was thinking, what did I say when I was a kid? I was not intending to pray. I was just sort of curious if there was a prayer somewhere in my memory. And I was trying to remember things, and it all got mixed up with the Pledge of Allegiance and the National Anthem. It just became this big confused mess with the 23rd Psalm and the Our Father and things like that. And it was all those little phrases mixed up here and there in my mind. And really wanted to grasp at some of this stuff. I wanted to recall this, and I accidentally muttered a couple phrases, and the people around me could not bear to have the mention of God. And they told me so in the most filthy, horrible language that they wanted me to stop, to not talk about God, and now they were going to really hurt me if I didn't stop. But because it was so repulsive to them and literally pushing them into the darkness, it encouraged me to try and... So I was just trying to think of phrases from these memories, and they're screaming and yelling at me to stop, and I'm trying to remember these things, and eventually I'm all alone in that place. And it's hard for people to understand, but I was left alone in that darkness, in my gore and in my pain, forever and ever and ever. And it's impossible to talk about. But that was the real hell.
Because you knew. And you wrote in your book that you were in the sewer of the universe.
Yeah, and I knew that I was